Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Christina from Our Home. As you can tell, we're going to be making easy dill pickles today. This recipe is great because it doesn't require a lot of ingredients or special equipment. So if you're new to canning or you just want an easy and good recipe, this is the one for you. I'm going to share the actual recipe a little bit later in this video, but as I prepare these cucumbers, let me first share some notes before we actually get started with the canning. Firstly, make sure that you're actually using canning jars and make sure that they don't have any cracks in them. Just give them all a once over before using. Also make sure that your canning lids and rings are in good shape, that they don't have any rust or dents on them. If they are damaged, don't use them. Also make sure that you wash and thoroughly rinse all your equipment. That means your jars, your knife, your cutting board, anything like that. You want to make sure that there's not going to be bacteria growth inside your jars. Final tip is to use cucumbers that are actually meant for pickling. They're usually shorter and smaller than other varieties. Using English or field cucumbers will result in a mushy pickle, and you don't want that. These cucumbers I'm using, I grew specifically for pickling. It's a pickling variety. And if you're buying seeds at the store to grow your own pickles, just make sure you are choosing a pickle variety. And if you're going to the store and you're looking for pickles in the grocery section, or cucumbers in the grocery section to make pickles, they should be labeled as pickling cucumbers, but you can always ask somebody working at the store if it's meant for pickling or eating fresh. All right, so let's get into what you'll need for this recipe. Obviously, you will need some pickling cucumbers, dill, dried or fresh is fine. You'll need some pickling vinegar. Make sure it's for pickling, not just for all-purpose use. You'll also need some water, canning jars, lids, and rings, as you could see, a pot for boiling the brine, and something to set the hot jars on to protect your counter or table. I use a cutting board, but a thickly folded towel works just as well. So what you're going to do to start is wash all those cucumbers. Make sure you cut off any little stem at the end there. Then you're going to cut your cucumbers as desired. You can do them as spears, coins, leave them whole if you really want to. My cucumbers weren't quite fitting in the jar when they were in their full length, so I just cut the ends off and saved those for later. Next, you're going to fill your pot with 3 parts of vinegar and 1 part of water, bringing that to a boil. For example, you would use 3 cups of water, 1 cup of vinegar, or whatever you need to fill your jars, but considering the 3-to-1 ratio of vinegar to water. Once that has boiled, while that's boiling, you'll be filling your jars as I'm showing here. I like to cut and then fill each jar individually, but if it's easier for you, you can cut them all at once and then fill the jars. But either way, just make sure you fill them as much as possible without squishing them. Without squishing the cucumbers inside, I mean. Next, you're going to put some dill in each jar. I do about half a teaspoon of dill. You can do more or less if you want a stronger or milder flavor. And as I said, using dried or fresh is fine. I had a lot of dried dill from my garden, so that's what I used here, but I have used fresh in the past, and honestly, I don't notice a difference. Once the brine has boiled, the brine of water and vinegar, you're going to remove that from the stove and carefully pour it into the jars, leaving about ½ inch of space at the top. If you don't have enough brine to fill all your jars, that's fine, just go ahead and make some more, sticking with that 3-to-1 ratio. Once all your jars are filled with the brine, put on your lids and tighten the rings just to fingertip tight. You don't need to really crank it on there, make it super difficult to get off. After that, we're just going to set these jars aside to completely cool and seal. If any of the lids don't seal, and they can be pressed down after 24 hours, go ahead and keep those jars in the refrigerator. They'll be good for a few weeks in there. But once all your jars are sealed, they can stay at room temperature for about a year. The flavor does get stronger after a few weeks, and the cucumbers will also change color from bright green to more yellowy green, and this is totally normal. These are just plain dill pickles, but in the past I've made garlic dill and that works just as well. I find it's easier to use dried minced garlic, but I'm sure you could use fresh. Just be careful with the quantities. You don't want it to be too overpowering with the dill and the pickle flavor. I like this recipe because, as I said, it's so simple. It doesn't require you to buy any special equipment or spend all day in the kitchen over the stove. It's quick, it's easy, and it's a great recipe if you are just new to canning, or if you just want something that's quick and easy that you can enjoy fairly soon. One piece of equipment I do have that I do recommend is a wide mouth funnel. This is just so much easier for filling these jars. I was using a narrow funnel, but this one's just, it's a lot easier because I tend to spill liquid all over the place, as you will undoubtedly see in this video. I'm just using a regular Dutch oven for my pot. You can use any kind of pot you have, just making sure that it's big enough for the brine that you are making. Once again, I want to stress the importance of using the right kind of cucumber for making your pickles. The first time I made pickles, I used cucumbers that I had in my garden that were given to me. They were bought from a garden center, and I didn't know much about cucumbers, so I didn't know what variety they were. And I thought you could just use any cucumber to make pickles. Boy, was I wrong. They ended up being quite large pickles because the cucumbers were very big, and they ended up having a very interesting texture, and they were very seedy because the seeds were huge in these cucumbers. Lesson learned, only use pickling cucumbers for making pickles. I think this is one of my favorite recipes because it is so simple, and everyone loves to get homemade pickles, so these make a great gift for Christmas season. I know it's only September, and I make pickles in August, but it's a great thing to have on hand so that you can have beautiful, delicious homemade gifts to give at Christmas or really any time of the year. You can dress them up by putting cute little fabric covers over the lids, or just keep them as is, put a nice label on it, and you're good to go. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you will give this recipe a try. Let me know how it turns out in the comments. Also let me know, do you prefer dill pickles, garlic pickles, sweet pickles? What's your favorite? I am definitely just a plain dill pickle kind of person. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I invite you to take a look around at some of the other videos here on my channel. If you like what you see, I hope that you consider subscribing. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.